my tweet about playing it. Let's retweet out our tweet. Alright. So if anybody wants to join in, if you want to say hi, I will have the Twitch stream on today. I don't always have it on, but I will have it on as long as my internet holds up. Once it starts up, I'll have it on. Okay, let's see if it stays on. Oh, apologies. It's gonna double the audio in a second. Apologies about that. So, let's start up. Lefty righty. Of course, I'm gonna fight with my headphones to start. So yes, we were getting a history lesson on the nature of the shrine, Iwaihime Shrine, or should I say, Noroi Shrine, which means Noroi means curse, whereas Iwai means celebration. We won't forget that again.
改変ってことは、元の話とどこかが変えられているんですか?
So by edited, you mean they changed part of the original story? Yes, so in the past there was a story... It was more like they abridged it. So in the past, let me see if I can go back to when they were doing the thing. Yes, so what's her face? Toei's ancestor, Suzanome. She talked with the elders at the village. Basically, she asked them, if she could stay there because her friend was injured, and they agreed, as long as she prayed for rain. Unfortunately, Toei isn't graced with the ability to actually send messages to the gods. She's only a vessel for the gods. So she can invite a god into her body to then speak to the people and hear from the people. So Toei said, you have to do the praying and you have to do the asking, but I will do the summoning. So they hold this ritual where she summons the spirit. It's the god of the mountain, and they find out that the god of the mountain does not control the rain. So the god of the mountain cannot give them what they want, which is rain. They desperately need rain because there's a drought, and their crop yield needs to be good for the next harvest. Fortunately, the god does give them some a golden deer, this animal that will at least sustain their hunger for a few months. But we'll see if it ends up sustaining, their village long enough. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. There goes my mouse. So yeah, we'll see if it sustains the village long enough. It's supposed to, but the golden deer, they were given a deer that they could carve off its body parts, and they could also carve off the antlers and sell them for gold, which they can then trade for probably food and water. And then obviously the body parts, they're supposed to smoke them and keep them somewhere for eating. And if they do everything properly, there's 4 golden deer that they end up doing this to. I think it's 4. And at the end of it, they should have enough food to last them, and nobody should die, if everything goes according to plan. Obviously, there's probably going to be an issue. Let me see if there was anything else. Suzanome, who you see on the left, she's a traveling shrine priestess called the Azura priestess or something like that. She was traveling with a companion, a grandmotherly type. She doesn't like traveling in parties of young girls, because there's always tension with other young characters with her, so she'd rather travel with the old lady by herself. When they get to the village, or when they get to the outskirts of the village, they get help from, what's his name? Suzumu's ancestor, which is Hatsu or something like that. Let me see what his name is, if I can find it. I may not find it. The mayor, Suzanome, Mutsu. Okay, Mutsu, not Hatsu. Mutsu. So yeah, so Suzuhara's ancestor is Mutsu. Toei's ancestor is Suzanome. And Toei also takes the god of that area, and his name, let me see if I can find it, the weird god's name, because we'll probably want to remember it. Gamihiko no Mikoto. Now, most likely the spirit that is talking to Suzunome, or talking to Toei in the future, and shape-shifting into all these other girls to kind of show her what her challenge is, and also when she has her whole split personality thing going on, it's most likely Rokugamihiko no Mikoto that is inhabiting her body, and probably is an entity she can't get rid of. It probably, like, cursed her or something. That's probably why it's called Iwaimoto, or Noroimoto Shrine. So more like they abridged the story.
飢饉が起こり、神の鹿がやってきて村を救ってくれた。
Famine occurred and the village was saved by the arrival of the sacred deer.
この後の物語がきれいにはしょられているの。
Everything that happened afterwards was neatly cut out.
つまり、さっきの昔話は、あれで終わりではない。
So the legend didn't end there.
そういうこと。
That's exactly right.
神の鹿がやってきて、村人たちは無事に飢饉を乗り越えた。
The legend did not
そ
end
れだけじゃ終わらなかったってことね。
after the villagers overcame their famine.
おう。
ところで、この神社のご神体なんだけど、神様のおわす山でもなければ、村を救った鹿でもない。なんだと思う？
So the Shintai in the shrine is neither the god that helped them, nor the deer that lived in the village. The Shintai, if you don't remember, and she says, what do you think it is? The Shintai, if you remember, it's the object that you pray to, that's kept in the shrine, but it's kept in a, like, closed box somewhere deep within. You pray from the front entrance, and it's supposed to be in the center. So even though you're praying outside and you don't get to see the Shintai, you just imagine that it's there and you're praying to it, and that your prayers will get answered or heard. So where do you think the Shintai is?
想像もつかないです。
I couldn't even begin to guess.
答えから言うと、盆栽よ。
I'll tell you the answer. It's a bell.
盆栽？
A bell?
平たく言えば、お寺の釣り鐘のことよ。
It's the hanging bell from a temple.
大昔、この村にあったという廃寺に放置された釣り鐘。
The bell from the abandoned temple from this village long ago.
それが、岩井本神社のご神体なの。
That's the shrine Shintai.
どうしてそんなものが？
But why a bell?
神社のパンフレットには、神に感謝して人々が奉納したなんてもっともらしいことが書かれているけど、
The pamphlet for the shrine has some passable story about how people offered the bell up as some kind of thanks to the god here.
普通に考えれば辻褄が合わないわよ
But
ね。
when you think about it, that doesn't really add up. This was the shrine for worshipping the deer god known as Rokugamihiko no Mikoto. And there was a legend that said his deer saved people from famine. But then why had the shrine been named after a curse? Why would its sacred Shintai be a hanging bell from an abandoned temple? It didn't add up at all. Something was missing, just like Hinagata was alluding to.
戦前の郷土史収集家が研究していたの。その人の資料を見つけるのは苦労したわ。
Local history compilers from before the war conducted some research. Finding their work was a real pain.
神社の神主を代々務める黒神家は、迫害と呼べるほどの圧力をかけて、その研究をもみ消したのだから。
The Kurakami family, who have run the shrine for generations, put so much pressure on them to suppress their findings. So you could call it that. You could call it persecution. Yeah, they put so much pressure to suppress the findings that you could call it persecution.
この土地の縁起の悪い伝説を蒸し返されることを好まなかったということでしょうか。
They didn't want them breaking up some grim legend?
おそらく
Most likely.
黒神家にとっては自称研究家などという人間の好奇にさらされ無用な注目を浴びたくなかったでしょうし
The Kurakamis probably didn't want to be exposed to curious self-proclaimed researchers and have unwanted attention brought upon themselves.
何があったんですか？
So what happened next?
人間の欲と それに対する神の怒り。
The greed of mankind was met by divine wrath.
そしてその神の怒りすらも上回る人間のおぞましさよ。
And man's repulsive nature gave it a run for its money. The people were saved by meat from the sacred deer. The capital's nobles were enamored with golden antlers and furs, and paid handsomely for them. Oops. The people managed to live modestly off that and survived the famine. However, things did not end there. They should never have sold the deer antlers. That was a bad idea. A single bite from the deer meat cured their hunger. But man's desire knows no bounds. Once their desire for food was sated, their minds became occupied with the desire for wealth. The village elders were awed by the unimaginable riches they'd earned from trading the golden antlers and furs. She never should have offered that. That had to have been... The god must have done that to trick them. I mean, they didn't need that if they have the food. I mean, sure, they need water, but they probably could have put their all into making things to sell to get water or something, rather than getting this handed to them. What's more, the nobles had asked them, did you have any more? If they brought more golden antlers and fur, they could sell them for a hefty price. The villagers had only lived modestly so far because they had no other choice. But faced with the prospect of earning a king's ransom, their greed drowned out the gratitude toward the god. Is Mutsu going to be part of this greed, or is he against it?
そんなのはダメだよ。お山を侵すなんて。
No, we cannot desecrate the mountain.
あの山にはまだまだ金の鹿がおるはずじゃ。
There might be more golden deer up there, though.
あれだけのお山じゃ100頭はいるに違いねえ。
It's a big mountain, dude. There must be 100 of those golden deer.
でもお山を侵せばタタリがあるって。
But we'd be cursed if we trespassed.
タタリなんぞ怖いもんか。
I ain't afraid of no curse.
そもそも六神様なんて本当におるかもわからんぞ。
I ain't afraid of no ghost. Besides, we don't know if Lord Rokugami is really up there.
んだんだ。旅の巫女が口寄せしたらたまたま金の鹿が村に迷い込んできただけかもしれん。
Exactly. Maybe it was just a coincidence that the golden deer wandered into our village after the priestess's channeling. It is in man's nature to look to the future over the past. Future prospects are far more important than offering thanks to that which has come and gone. Up until now, the villagers had feared and revered the mountain as Rokugami Hiko no Mikoto's sacred home. Yet they completely forgotten their dutiful thanks and were wearing their greed on their sleeve. A picture scroll from the 17th century obtained by the aforementioned researchers told the true story. It depicted the gruesome slaughter that had unfolded on that mountain, the hunting of the golden deer. Here's some irony. What word do you get when you combine the characters for gold and deer? The answer is massacre. Dun dun dun.
兄上様、どうかお考え直しを。
Brother, please reconsider.
そうですとも。人間たちのためにそこまでをされる必要はありますまい。
She's right. You needn't go so far for those humans.
そうはいかぬ。
But I must.
我らは互いを敬い、距離を保ちつつも共生せねばならぬ。
We must respect each other and keep our distance if we are to live in unity.
なれど、日照りで辛いのは我らも同じ。
But the drought brings us both equal suffering.
なぜに我らのみが人間に施さねばならぬかわかりませぬ。
So why must only we offer aid? I don't understand.
人間たちはよく我らを敬い、この飢饉にあっても我らの土地を侵さなかった。
The humans honor us and have refused to desecrate our land, even in this time of famine.
それに対し見返りがなくば、我らへの敬いも薄れようというもの。
Should we fail to reward them for that, their reverence for us shall wane.
神よの時代はすでに終わって久しい。我らは滅ぶべき存在だ。
The age of the god is long over. Our kind is overdue to perish.
しかし彼らの祖先は 我らの血を犯さぬことを約束してくれたのだ。何の見返りも求めずに。
And yet their ancestors swore not to trespass on our land, without seeking anything in return.
しかしその見返りに我らの身を捧げるなど。
But to offer up our own flesh as the reward.
さようです。兄上様がどうして人間どもに。
She's right. Why must you die for the humans, brother?
話し合って決めたことだ。我を筆頭に年長の者7人を人里に送る。
We discussed this before. Starting with me, the 7 eldest of us will descend upon the man village.
それで彼らは秋の実りまで十分に食いつなぐことができるであろう。
That shall grant man enough nourishment to survive until the autumn harvest.
我の血肉は彼らのものだけにはならぬ。
My flesh and blood shall not belong to them alone.
我らへの敬いを新たにし、我らの安寧にもつながるのだ。
It shall renew their reverence for us and bring us peace.
兄上様。
Brother,
出産を間近にしている者もおろう。7人減ればその分多く食え、父の出も良くなるはずだ。
there are also those due to give birth soon. The loss of us 7 shall grant them more food to produce even greater milk.
我ら亡き後、この山を頼むぞ。
Once we have departed, I leave the mountain to you.
兄上様、
Brother,
誓って一族の繁栄をお約束いたしまする。
I swear it, brother. Our clan shall prosper in your absence. Nui, but they could not keep that promise. Over 7 days, 7 sacrifices were sent, believing they were fulfilling their duty. But they had no way of knowing their sacrifice would be in vain. They could never have imagined that they were stirring man's greed even further. Oh. It happened on a night where the moon appeared red. As desolate winds blew, the villagers carrying torches, all passed over the stream to the forbidden mountain. The mere axe sent the creatures living there into a frenzy. For all of them had wholeheartedly believed that the humans could never cross the stream. Oh. The mob roared as they roused the animals. The golden deer instantly understood the situation from the commotion, and learned that their trust had been betrayed. Both Suzunome and Mutsu had been opposed to this, but their words fell on deaf ear by those blinded by greed. Since the village was taking care of her, Suzunome could do little to protest. And since Mutsu was a member of the village, he was unable to fight against their shared conviction. Back in those days, your village was your family, and their fate was your fate. Opposing them would mean getting both yourself and your family ostracized. Mutsu knew that. So even though he didn't want to, he had no choice but to partake in the mountain hunt. The creatures of the mountains scrambled in fear down the animal trails on the opposite slope. There they were caught in large nets. It was an ambush pincer attack, designed to lure them into traps and round them up whole. Of course, what the villagers truly wanted were golden deer. But in this time of famine, they didn't mind taking whatever they could catch. They planned to hunt the whole mountain dry. The agitated animals were caught by the herd in traps one after another. Was that a monkey? The dying screams of their slaughter resounded without any end in sight. Did it sound like a deer? I don't know. I might not have heard a deer, so maybe it does. The dying screams of their slaughter resounded without any end in sight. The golden deer looked down at the horrifying scene.
なんということなのか。
How horrid.
姉上様、もうこの地にはとどまれませぬ。
Sister, we can't stay here any longer.
この地を捨てましょう。今ならまだ北の谷から逃げられます。
Let us abandon the mountain. We still have time to flee into the northern valley.
しかし北の谷は人の蔵の地だ。我らの地にはあらず。
But the children of man live in the northern valley. It's not our land either.
人の子が金を破った以上、 我らがそれに従う道理はありますまい。
The children of man broke our oath, which means we no longer have to oblige by theirs.
さようです。彼らが我らの地を犯すように、我らが彼らの地を犯したとて誰に咎められましょう。
Indeed, now that the humans have desecrated our land, no one can reproach us for doing the same.
なりませぬ。
But we still cannot.
姉上様、
Sister,
彼らが金を破ったからといって我らまで破れば、それは我らも同じに出したも同然。
if we broke our oath, just because the humans broke theirs, that would make us no different from them.
我らは神代の時代より生きし誇り高き一族。その誇りを失うことは許されませぬ。
We are a proud family. Proud since the age of the gods. We cannot allow ourselves to abandon that pride.
しかし悔しゅうございます。
But my heart is marred with vexation.
これでは何のために兄上様たちが命を捧げたのかわかりませぬ。
This can't be what our siblings gave their lives for.
人の子を信じた兄上様たちが不憫でなりませぬ。
I can only pity them for placing their faith in the children of man.
あれは人の子にあらず
No, these are no children of men.
人の鬼、人鬼じゃ。
They are demons in human flesh. Man demons.
我らは金を破らぬ。破りで沢を越えるは人鬼に脱するも同じ。
We shall not break our vow. We shall not lower ourselves to the level of the man demons.
我らの誇りが人鬼どもの邪悪によっても汚されぬことを教えてやろうぞ。
We shall teach them that our pride can't be sullied by their evil.
いたぞ、金の鹿の群れじゃ。
Look, a herd of golden deer.
囲め囲め、一匹も逃すでないぞ。
After them, don't let a single one get away. The villagers' greedy eyes gleamed through the darkness, looking exactly like those of a demon. The herd of golden deer suddenly took off and scattered across the mountain. But their golden fur shone too brightly in the moonlight. They couldn't escape the avaricious glares of man demons. One deer collapsed in exhaustion. Another fell and broke its legs, and one by one all the deer were captured. The final members of the herd were cornered at the stream. If they crossed the stream, they could flee to safety, but that was the humans' land. They had gained that land in exchange for promising they wouldn't trespass upon any others, and so the golden deer kept their pride to the bitter end. They were all captured with their backs to the stream.
バカな鹿どもじゃ。こいつら沢を越えられぬぞ。
Stupid deer, they can't even cross the stream.
わしらが踏み入れるのをいいことに、お山でぬくぬくしておった報いじゃな。
This is what they get for thinking we never tread on their mountain.
一網打尽じゃぞ。
Caught them all. The deer's legs were bound, and the humans carried them upside down on long poles. It was a disgraceful end to the sacred deer, who'd lived since the age of the gods.
これだけいればわしらはみんな大金持ちじゃ。
We'll be rich as kings with this many deer.
メスの毛並みもなかなかではないか。毛皮に傷をつけぬように気をつけるのじゃぞ。
Those does sure have a lot of fur, huh? Be careful not to damage their fur. The deers were hung in succession over skinning tables set up in the village. Ugh. Next, the villagers smashed them over the head and killed the deers. They were no kinder to the fawns either. Even the newborns were slaughtered mercilessly. Families were forced to watch their own children murdered one after the other as they waited for their own turn to come. I'm sure PETA hates this game. It was said the deer shed bitter tears, but no extant records speculate on their feelings. Although this does kind of show that humans are destroying nature, and it's a cautionary tale.
我らはどうなっても構いません。
Oops. Sorry. We don't care what happens to us, but at least spare the children. Alright. Let's find out what happens next time. I'm sure they'll spare the children. Not. Gonna take a little break and then I'll start up again. See ya!